Federal spending fell last quarter for the first time since COVID. Pigs do fly. And take a picture because it ain't gonna last thanks to our Rhino Congress. The miracle comes from the Bureau of Economic Analysis hidden in their most recent GDP report. The drop was big. It was 5.1% on an annualized basis. At that pace, we would cut government in half in just over a decade. So the drop in government spending was part of the reason GDP was negative last quarter, which is something I've been warning about all year since government GDP statistics, bizarrely, count every dollar government spends as if it were creating wealth. Meaning if you cut transgender operas or fraudulent payments to illegals, you get an automatic reduction in GDP even though the American people are now richer. Or as Elon colorfully put it, if you fire all the factory workers or replace them with well-paid bureaucrats at DMV, GDP would go up. So what drove that pigs flying drop in federal spending? The main one was military, since Trump stopped giving hundreds of billions to Ukraine. The other was DOGE cuts, including 90% of U.S. aid funding that was allegedly feeding starving Africans, but was actually paying obese radicals to burn police stations and vote early and often. DOGE cuts included up to $20 billion at EPA, where Biden's special climate advisor admitted they were, quote, throwing gold bars off the Titanic, as in handing billions to climate activists before Trump took office. It also included billions to the Department of Health, including richly deserved cuts at NIH and CDC, who so gallantly defended the deep state during COVID, and it included billions of DEI, from the openly communist National Endowment for the Arts to the Department of Defense, so it stops giving DEI participation trophies to helicopter pilots. So what's next, brought to you by Unchained.com. Polls say 80% of Americans want lower federal spending. Sadly, this one looks like a fluke. Congress has been chomping at the bit to respend all the DOGE savings with tens of billions more for our bloated military budget, while the Republicans' big beautiful budget adds at least $5 trillion in new spending with no cuts in sight. Now, to be sure, this is a lot better than Biden, who requested a $1.2 trillion raise in his last budget, of which Congress gave him $800 billion. Cackles would probably have been worse, considering she is actually lucid. The bigger lesson is, apparently it's not impossible to cut federal spending. In fact, I suspect very few Americans even felt that annualized 5.1% drop. Sadly, given rhinos have hijacked Congress, this may be the last quarter of lower government spending for a very long time. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.